Then I'm gonna start it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is another sunny Saturday in the DFW Metroplex. My name is JP Green, aka Mr. Mo Better. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Soon I'll have a Facebook page up pretty soon. As such, this is the Get Back Show, and we're about to get into what we've been doing all season, talking about entrepreneurship. With me today, I have my trusty cohort. And I don't even say like sidekick. This dude is like a superhero himself. If you follow him on Twitter, you'll know why. Who?
Isaiah E. Coming at you. Thanks, JP. Yeah. I'm Isaiah Engel. You can find me on Twitter at Isaiah_E.
Got you. And so today we're going to talk about, we're just going to jump right into it because we are a little bit behind. Sorry about that, guys. We got to start. It's my fault. It's all my fault. We're starting a little bit late, but hopefully you guys are joining us in subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you know somebody that needs information about entrepreneurship, starting their own business, anything like that, if you've considered it, you need to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then from there, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Go like the Facebook page. And then from there, you go and follow, like everybody that's on that are co-hosts, and then everybody that's been on the show, so you can keep up with those guys and follow their journey. And then hopefully you can reach out to us. Not hopefully, then after that, reach out to us, and then we can get you on and we can talk about your journey. So today, what we're gonna literally jump into is the art of business, man. The artsy fartsy thing. Not really. I really love art. I have an affinity for art. I've been pretty much since I was a kid. I've always loved art, man. And I've been blessed enough in my lifetime to come across some pretty dope artists, some locally and some abroad. I follow some on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram and you see my stories, sometimes I will post their art to my stories. I actually posted something about one of our guests we have in studio right now. I'm a fan of his work. I'm a fan of him. Awesome story, great brother, great dude, man, and I'm glad to know him. So in studio today we have Josh. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Josh.
My name is Josh Mittag. I'm from East Dallas, from this area right here. I have an Instagram, Mittag Art and Design. Occasionally I'll post things there. I'm really bad at that, but I'm working on it.
It's all good, man. We all are working on that. I don't post enough.
It's a full-time job.
It is. But you've mastered the Twitter thing, though.
Yeah, every time I come across something, it's my default is just, oh, I got to put that on Twitter. Yeah, so it's more of an addiction. Don't try this at home, kids.
Right.
But yeah, if you do get hooked, Twitter's the best platform, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he is like heavy on Twitter.
I'm super heavy on Twitter.
Hey man, I was looking at him the other day. I'm like, this dude has got like 7 conversations going on at one time.
At least you got to have at least 7 conversations, or else it's not Twitter, right?
Yeah, he is heavy on Twitter. So we want to send a special shout out, though, before we get too far into the show. We want to send a special shout out to Jasmine Gerner. Jasmine is our other co-host. She's out working. We're going to be covering a fight later on tonight. The show will. And so Jasmine's working on that, and they have a little fashion show or something that's going on where they're presenting some merch. She's working with another brand. And we got a call coming in. Let me put my headset on. Are you going to put it through the speakers? Hey, Jennifer.
Hey.
Hey, and now joining us, we have Jennifer Volsi calling in. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. We have Jennifer Volsi calling in from Calabasas. You want to tell folks where you at, or you just want to keep it secret and get your Bruce Wayne on? You don't want to let them know where.
You already said it, huh?
Yeah, we put it out there. She's another artist that I follow, dope artist. You've seen me repost some of her stuff on Instagram. Jennifer, we're just getting through our introductions right now. But let's go ahead and introduce you. You let the people know where you're calling from and what you've been up to.
Okay, well, I'm based in the LA area, I guess, and I'm a visual artist, so I'm a painter. I do a lot of portraits, but also a little bit of scenic work, but I like to include people in my work. And I'm also a lawyer, so when I'm not doing art, I am in the courtroom.
Which is super dope. She got. I told her earlier I became a fan. I knew I was gonna. I started crushing on her when I saw her go to. She was wearing some Jordans to court one day, and I was like, "Yeah, this is."
Now, was she your attorney or was she the opposing counsel?
No, I started following her on Instagram. No, I can't divulge that information. Come on, I say. No, I just started. I don't know how I came across your page. On Instagram, Jennifer, but I just started. I think it's something. One of the pieces you posted, and then from there, I just started following you, and it was and you've been putting up dope work ever since.
I appreciate that.
Yes, and then you just have this. She has this like uncanny sense of humor when you see her stories and stuff like that. She has a great sense of humor too. She doesn't take life too serious. Well, we want to finish this birthday. Shout out to Jasmine. Happy 24th, Jazz. Hopefully we can catch up with you tonight. She's going to be super busy at the fight. So she's got a lot of things going. Jazz is just a straight up hustler, man. She's got her hands in a lot of different things. And so what we've been doing, Jennifer, is just, and Josh, right before you guys came in, before Josh came in and Jennifer came in, called in, we were talking about I don't know if you guys have been following what's been going on with Facebook and Twitter over the last week.
Yeah, the tech sector is in for a massive correction. I was just talking to a trader the other day. He's like, yeah, I would definitely short the tech sector. The only question was when, and it seems like I don't know. Are we seeing the short sooner than he expected? I thought, a year, but
now I said, so the reason I brought this up, guys, and we'll get into why we brought you guys on the show, is just it was important. I thought that Isaiah would have a unique perspective on it, just because he is really because he's so heavy on Twitter and he talks to a lot of different people. I thought that he would have a unique perspective to give us, and plus, just this is I'd have to say he's a brainiac, man. If you just go on and check this dude out, check his credentials out, go to Isaiah.blog, and just check him out, man. Some of the work he's done, but also if you follow him on Twitter, you will see some of the conversations and the people he talks to. So, he's almost like E.F. Hutton, bro.
Well, you'll definitely see some random conversation going on at Twitter at any given point. I love to talk about corporate governance and building companies for the long term from the ground up, and it all comes back to fundamentals. Like, do you spend less than what you make? Are you on a growth trajectory? Are you diversified? All those things. And no matter how big the company, like for instance, like Facebook, for instance, great company, their net profit was, I just looked it up, off of 40 billion revenue, about 15, 16 billion in net profit. That's a lot. That's what, 25, 30%. And that's great. When you look at a market cap of $600 billion, it was at 5 something in May, it went up to 600 in June, and then went back down to 500. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, the sky's falling." Well, if you just look at it, imagine it's like a real estate investment, like a home, and imagine you just take off a bunch of zeros off the end. Well, if you divide $600 billion divided by $15 billion, that's about a 40-year payoff to get your money back. So would you buy a real estate investment that you would get your money back in 40 years? Now there's an expectation of growth, but when you do things like, propose to build a hacker city, then, investors may not think they're going to get that cash back. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not privy to their plans. I don't speak on their behalf. I don't really know, but I just know the fundamentals are inescapable for everyone.
So what do you So let's break this down in a layman's term. What lesson can we take from this as far as people, our listeners who are either potential entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs? What's the lesson in this?
No one's immune from the fundamentals. Are you building a company that customers want to exchange dollars or euros or any local currency for what you make? Yes. All right. Well, what do you think is a realistic growth rate for that? And then you go from there. Where Facebook is, they have net profit, quite a lot of net profit, so they're doing that well. It's nothing like some of these other tech companies which spend way more than they make with no hope of ever getting it back. So that's good. So then once you have those fundamentals, then it's just a question of like, what do you think your growth rate is going to be, and how do you realistically manage investors' expectations around that? Better yet, try not to get investors. Try to just sell stuff to your customers and grow over the long period of time organically. That's building for the long term.
Got you. So if you guys definitely, and I will keep saying this throughout the show, man, if you really want some of that just down to earth, get into the nooks and crannies of the business and being an entrepreneur. This guy's been a serial entrepreneur. He's done some great things. I would definitely get on Twitter and follow him. I follow him. The show follows him. And that's one of the reasons I have him come on, is just because he can give us the insight and the perspective I don't think that anybody else would be able to give us. He has a very unique ability to bring the business side of things and break it down into layman's terms. So let's get back to enough about Facebook and Twitter. We're all over social media anyway, every day. But we just wanted to give you a little insight into what's actually been going on over the last week. You should really, I feel like as a business person, if you're running a business, if you're operating your business, you really should know what's going on, whether it's in your market or whether it's across the global market. You want to know what's going on because that stuff affects you too. But let's get back to why we're here. Let's talk about and I'm going to segue into this by the reason why I wanted to bring in visual artists and really talk about this, because I love art, number one, but I know Josh on a personal level, and just the way his mind thinks business-wise, some of the conversations that we've had previously. We don't see each other that often, but it seems like when we do see each other, we kind of pick up where we left off. I think the last time we chopped it up was, 6 months ago, maybe?
Has it been that long?
I think it's been about 6 months, brother. I think I hadn't even moved yet. It's been a minute, but we talked. We were meeting for like a 30-minute meeting, quick breakfast and talking. We wound up sitting down there for like 2-3 hours. Yeah. But we talked about a lot of things. We talked about life, but also business and stuff like that. So I really wanted to get him on the show. I've been trying to get him to do some artwork for us too. I'm not even gonna lie about that. And then also Jennifer, just because of her work. And then I was always interested in I like seeing her work, and then also her as a person, the inspiration. And then when you start to peel back the layers and get into each one of your stories individually, and how you gravitated to art and how it's been business-wise. I think I reached out to Jennifer it may be almost a year ago. I wanted her to do something for me. I didn't follow through on that one. My bad. I wanted her to, to do a portrait for me, so of my kids. But I think that's really how I started just keeping up with her and following her. But I always felt like, what is it? What was it? The Thomas Crown Affair. That's like one of my favorite movies. Where Pierce Bronson was like the art thief or whatever, and that's always been like one of my favorite movies. But I wanted to get into the business of talking about art. How's your journey been as an artist? And I know Isaiah has a gang of questions. He was like the minute we brought it up, my man had like 13 questions in our group chat in like 3 minutes, man. So he was ready to go. So we can tee it up. Isaiah, take it away, man. I know you had a few things you want to ask.
Yeah, so Josh, I walked by the old location of the Mavs in Deep Ellum and saw what was it, the Dirk, or what's his name?
There's two different ones.
Yeah.
I did one of them.
Okay.
During the championship, they did the first one.
Yes.
On the actual building, and then I did one across the street from that, in between the two buildings.
Yeah.
That was actually my first time putting something on a wall. That's when I first picked up a spray paint can.
Wow.
Actually, that's my first piece.
That's incredible. It's iconic.
Thanks.
What was the journey like to go and get the ability to do that?
Well, I was born with it. It's a gift. I've always drawn. I love to draw and paint. I read a lot also, and I was just inspired because I'm also a portrait artist, and that's like my favorite thing to do. I tattooed portraits for, 13 years, almost 15 years maybe, and I like to play with all different types of medium. I never really considered doing a portrait with a spray paint can though until I seen a video on YouTube, and I'm a firm believer in potential. I believe that we all are pregnant with potential, and which means that you're capable of doing something that you haven't even learned yet. You can learn to do anything, and I'm a believer that as long as one human being has done it, that's proof it can be done. So when I seen somebody do it, I said, okay, I gotta learn this. I can do this.
So going from zero spray murals to that,
Right.
like, what doors did that open up for you?
Oh wow. So it kind of took over everything that I was doing. So I started spray painting on a regular basis, where I even stopped tattooing for a while because I didn't really have time to do both according to the demand that, and then opportunities that were just kind of opening up. So my first one, I did it for the Mavs, and it just kind of opened up opportunities to do other things for the players. I started doing a series of guitars for one of the players. He wanted some guitars for every team that he played for, and we started airbrushing guitars.
Wow.
And putting portraits and logos on each one of the guitars and so on and so forth. And spray painting is something totally different than tattooing. It takes longer, but it's a whole lot bigger. There's a lot more exposure. People can walk by and see your artwork on walls without you even having to point it out to them, versus you doing something inside of a shop or whatever that only certain people get to see. It was just a new thing, so it was fun, and I kind of just took off with it.
Well, that's really fascinating. I want to come back to that. Jennifer, what's your medium of choice?
I kind of alternate between acrylic and oil. I started off doing mostly acrylic paintings, and then maybe about a year into that, I started playing with oil more, and I like them both about the same, honestly.
Did you have any like moments in time where you're just like, I'm just gonna go try something new or whatever? What was your flight path like to getting into that?
Well, I started doing art during law school. I mean, I'd always enjoyed painting and stuff just growing up, but I started actually selling art and I guess showing my art to other people during law school. And it really just started off making art for myself because I was a student and I wanted things to decorate my place. So I just started off with canvas paintings because that's what I felt like I needed in my space. And then after that, I branched into a few different things. So I've painted a few jackets for people. So I've done work on denim and just other clothing pieces. But I think primarily my focus is on canvases.
Do you have one of those jackets, JP?
No, I've been watching her. She's done a few that she's posted, and I've been watching. I'm you know, I'm a watcher, man. That's what I do when I'm, I'll comment and stuff like that. But yeah, she's a phenomenal artist. You know what I want to ask you? When you said you started painting when you were younger, do you remember the first thing you painted?
Not really. I mean, when I was younger, as a child. So I always, art was always one of my favorite subjects in school. And I was really fortunate to go to an elementary school that put a lot of emphasis on art. And so we did all kinds of things. Like we would work on billboards they would let us create for the school. And so, I mean, I know that one of my paintings that I did when I was like 10 is actually the cover of the portfolio at the elementary school now in Canada. So when you bring your kids for orientation, it's a painting that I did of the school when I was younger. And so that's what they use to give out to all the parents now.
Wow.
So that's the first memory I guess I have.
Yeah. You know what? We spoke about it briefly on my way in when I talked to you earlier. How is your journey from Canada to the different places that you've done schooling at? How's that shaped your art?
I think it shaped, I guess, my appreciation for different people because, I mean, I'm of Haitian descent. I was born in New York, raised in Toronto, went to school in Baton Rouge, went to law school in California. And so I've met all kinds of different people along the way. And I think that's why I love painting portraits, because a lot of it was just me painting people who I felt were beautiful and not necessarily traditional portraits, but just more modernized and just painting regular people, but in beautiful ways. And that was my focus going into it. And so I definitely feel like my experiences meeting all sorts of different people helped with that.
Gotcha. Hey, Josh, really quick, what about you, buddy? How was your story? I know a little bit of your story, your background. How has that shaped you as far as your art is concerned, the things that your output, the things that you share? I know, so I'm a writer by nature. And I've realized over the last couple of years, I've held some things really close to the vest that I haven't written about. I may mention them a little bit, but I never go into detail, and I probably need to get that out of my system. But I know that my life experiences, I'm working on a book right now, and I really just realized it's some of my life, some of my friends, and I'm like, boy, I hope you start to see your characters take shape, but you do see other people in those. You're pulling from everywhere. And how is your story, man? And I don't know if you want to share a little bit of it. How has that just progressed, and how is it really beginning to shape your art?
Well, excuse me. Like I was telling Isaiah, me reading, just learning different things. Like I believe where there's no challenge, there's no change. And I always tend to try to challenge myself. I've been through a lot of challenges in life, and so I'm always up for that. I'm always up for a challenge and trying new things. I get bored really easy. Like when I did the Dirk portrait, it was 53 feet wide, like maybe 19, 20 feet high, and it's something I've never done, so it was a challenge for me. And when people see that, they get kind of surprised and amazed, like, oh, wow, like, how could you do this? And for me, this is like my normal now. I always do it. I'm not as excited as some people when they see it, you know. So I really pull from that. I pull from the excitement even from other people. And I'm always just trying to play with different things because I haven't felt like I have found something to define me. I'm always trying to develop myself in different ways, not just with artwork. Artwork is just something that I do. It's not who I am. So as I develop my character, you know, I'm learning to express myself artistically in different ways. I really can't pull certain experiences and say this is the reason why I'm this type of artist. You know, I'm always trying something different, you know, and there's nothing that I feel like I can't do.
Yeah,
you know?
That's key. That's key entrepreneurship quality right there. There's nothing you can't do. You're not identifying too deeply with your work, and it's just like what you do, and you can do something else, and then just keep challenging. I think that's a key leadership quality for whether you're running a Fortune 500 company or whether you're doing art for the Dallas Mavs. That's something that you can constantly pull into your work.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you. Hey, so Jennifer, when was you said that you started you started doing pieces just for your home? I noticed that you had painted something when I think you had just you moved into a new place and you did paint something. Yeah, I follow you that closely. Just because I really like your work, but what was that first experience like? So let's back up a little bit. We didn't even get to ask you guys our two questions that we always ask. So let's spin back a little bit. The first question is and then you both can answer it. So I'll give you both of them. The first one is, what does entrepreneurship mean to you? And then the second question is, when was your free fall moment? And let me define the free fall moment for you. The free fall moment is that moment where you said, I'm going to jump. I'm going to make this first sale, or I'm going to paint this first picture and I'm going to put it up for sale, or, I'm investing in this part of my skill. I want to see where it goes. That's where you take that leap into entrepreneurship. So, we ask every guest that when they come on, just because it's been kind of a running theme throughout the show since we started back in February. So Jennifer, we'll start with you. What does entrepreneurship mean to you, and what was your free fall moment?
I think entrepreneurship is kind of what you make of it. I think it looks different for every person. I don't know that there are any rules. So I know some people, they kind of like to dive all in, like they have a passion and they really just want to go for it and focus on only that thing. For me, I approached it because, like I said, I am also a lawyer and an artist, and I didn't want to give up my constant income. And I think for me, the way I look at it is, as long as I can keep another source of income coming in, it allows me to create art that I really want to create, because I'm not worried about eating off of this sale necessarily. And so it allowed me to just make art that I really connected to, and then I think other people connected to it as well. So I just was able to paint what I felt and just whatever I appreciated. And yeah, so I think the rules are different for every person, but you just kind of have to approach it in a way that works for you. And my free fall moment, no, I guess I just started, when I started sharing my work with other people, when I finally got confident enough to want to show other people my work, that's kind of where it started, because I painted pieces and it kind of just happened organically. People would say, hey, like, can I buy this from you? How much would you sell it for? Because I didn't start off trying to make it a business or selling. Like I said, I started off just doing this for myself. And once that started to happen, I started selling more, and then I started getting commissions, and so I started creating custom works for people. And that's kind of how it happened for me. Gotcha.
How was that where you said you started getting confidence in yourself? Did you find that liberating when you started sharing your art with people in that capacity?
Yeah, because I started through Instagram. That's how it started for me. And really, initially, I didn't have a lot of followers who I didn't know. And so it was just people in my close circle. Like, I went to undergrad at Southern, and so it was a lot of Southern people who followed it. And that's really where I started sharing it, just people who I already knew, and they'd share it with other people. And so it kind of grew from there. But yeah, so I guess it was a way to leap in, and I wasn't that known by anyone, so it was easier in that sense. And
Gotcha.
it was liberating. It was nice to be able to share that.
Gotcha. Josh, what about you? What does entrepreneurship mean to you, and what was your free fall moment?
I'm still figuring some of this out. Okay, so I agree with her and a lot of things that she said, and I can relate to some of this. I believe there's no rules. Entrepreneurship to me is not just a personal thing. I have a 16-year-old, and I look at my situation with my son as in terms of I'm raising a father, not a son. So I believe it's important to show him how to generate more than one source of income. I also don't want to just have to depend on just my artwork for the simple fact that it becomes, sometimes it's more, there's a pressure to get things done and it takes the fun out of it. You know, so when I'm able to just play with the art, I can actually create more versus only working on commission pieces and I'm just getting things done and I'm not really being creative.
Gotcha.
As much as I would like to. So there's a freedom in being able to pull income from a different source. And so it creates more freedom for me to be able to have income come from more than one place. And I would say that my free fall moments have been every time that I attempt a different medium or every time I do something that I've never done. It's fun for me. You know, I got to a place where instead of feeling like, man, I got to get up and go to work, it's like I get to get up and go to work. I get to go do something that I like to do. It's exciting for me. And when it starts to feel like a job, I can do it differently. I can always recreate my approach to art because, like she says, there's no rules to that. And that's the fun in it. So picking up a spray paint can, I didn't know how it was going to look, but I knew that I could figure it out. I'm always up for a challenge. So if somebody asks me, could I do something, and I'm not sure exactly how to do it, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say yes, and I'll figure out how to do it and then get it done. So I still have free fall moments coming. And anytime there's a challenge, I think that's kind of the same experience for me.
Having the Dallas Navs as customers is quite a breakthrough for, I think, really any artist. What was it like before you did that mural? Did you have them, or did that open up the doors for that?
No, I didn't. I had tattooed on some of the Dallas Mavericks Maniacs and somebody who is over the social media, which is how I kind of got in there. I did a couple of tattoos of the trophy when we won back in 2011. This was before I did the mural as well, and even now I'm going to be tattooing on one of the assistant coaches and a couple of the players, and I have some plans to have them over. I've already started working on a huge piece on one of the players, and it's just created a window. Before I spray painted for them, I didn't even really talk to any of the players or anything. I just knew I knew one guy actually, and I did a tattoo on him, and I just kind of went on and had a ripple effect throughout the team.
Now, have they been able to successfully convince Mark Cuban to go get some tats?
We're working on it.
Wow.
Cool.
Well, we're gonna take a brief break, really quick, and we're gonna run through some advertisement for people. If you're looking for something to do in the city today, the first one is going to be live from downtown Dallas. Is the Rumble in the Park. Jedi should be getting up. Shout out to Jedi, our engineer, man. He works. Jedi works really hard. He does, and he's my co-host when nobody else is here. It's me and Jedi. We ride out. Rumble in the Park is Main Street Garden Park, 1902 Main Street, Dallas, Texas, 75201. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Ray Jimenez. Forgive me, Ray, if I jacked that up. He's 17-1. The fights tonight, doors open at 6, and the first fight starts at 7. You can get tickets at Montoya Boxing Gym, or you can go to prekindle.com. Again, it's the Rumble in the Park, downtown Dallas. It's Main Street Garden Park, 1902 Main Street. The next one is going to be, the next thing we're going to talk about is, I believe, would be Rhythm and Rhymes. I believe it's Rhythm and Rhymes. I'm like out of order here myself. It's going to be Rhythm and Rhymes. And Rhythm and Rhymes is every first and third Thursday of the month. So it'll be next Thursday. I'm on point. Rhythm and Rhymes is next Thursday, August 2nd, and then the second one will be August 16th, hosted by none other than myself, JP Green, aka Mr. Mo Better. No, I'm not speaking about myself in the third person. you can go and get tickets off of Eventbrite, or you can go hit up JCF Productions on Facebook, and she'll have the Eventbrite links there. You should come out if you know anybody that's a budding artist as far as spoken word, lyricist, anything like that. All the rappers that are out there that want to come through, I will challenge you. I encourage you. You need to bring a Hot 16, and don't worry about bringing the track, because everything in there we're doing everything a cappella. And the challenge is, man, it's a very intimate crowd. So the challenge is really so people can hear what your lyrics are really like. And hear you, but it also will help you. It'll help you grow as an artist. You get instant feedback, mostly from me, but really, I'm a child of hip hop, man. I grew up from when hip hop was in its early stages to where it is now. So there are things that and just being an artist myself, a spoken word artist, I started that way back when, and just being on different stages. So I just try to provide feedback, and it's a launching pad. I look at Rhythm and Rhymes as a host. I look at it as a launching pad for when you go to other places, like when Groove Theory Thursdays comes back with HC3 and Quality Events. They put on a great show. Places like Flow that's put on by Masterpiece the Poet, For the Love of Words. When you get to stages like that you're prepared. Even when you go to Heroes and you catch up with Sherry and the Rage, the Dallas Slam team, those guys, so that when you get to that point where you're performing in front of them and in front of that audience, you can take some of the things that you learned at Rhythm and Rhymes and begin to apply them on different stages. So I look at it as a launching pad.
And the winner gets to have a rap battle with me.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for this 16 that Isaiah was supposed to give me like 2-3 weeks ago. And then the next event is put on by JCF Productions again. It's Culture Couture. It's going to be August 31st. They're going to have a fashion show at One Love Lounge in Arlington, Texas. You can go hit up JCF Productions on Facebook or look it up on Eventbrite. Culture Couture. You can look that up on Eventbrite and purchase tickets for that. Yep. There it is. It's $15 on Eventbrite, $20 at the door. And you can go check that out. Please go check that out, man. I think it's going to be a great event. Jennifer was on the last show. She really has a passion for just the arts itself, everything encompassing art. I know that when she finds out that we had visual artists on the show today, she's probably going to be all in my ear, like, why you didn't invite me? But she really loves, she has a passion for art, man. And so just please go and check the show out. Even if you're not going to be able to make it yourself, send the link to somebody and let them know what's going on. The next event is tonight. This is my landing pad for every Saturday that I'm available to make it, and it's Saturdays Evolve at Union Park, and that's put on by HC3 Enterprises and Quality Events. Quinn Coleman, and I can't see that third logo down there, but those are my people. Hirsch. Shout out to Big Coop, Herschel Cooper, and Quentin Coleman, man. Hirsch has been doing things around the city. He's been on the show himself, and Q, of course, is a comedian. He's been doing it, man. Q and I go way back. We kind of like got started together doing different things, and just to see where this brother is right now, like he called me that he's actually going to be with me tonight. We're going to be at the Rumble in the Park. The Get Back show is, and doing some things supporting Jasmine because she's connected to those guys. And then the next thing is also put on by HC3 Enterprises and Quality Events. The next one is going to be Neo Soul Sundays. That's Blue Martini. That's at the Blue Martini every Sunday. That's the After Dark. That's okay. We're working through it, Chief. So they have an After Dark that starts after the actual Blue Martini, after the Neo Soul Sunday joint that goes on. If you haven't made it out to Neo Soul Sunday, you're missing out. You can go check it out you can purchase tickets, and also you can RSVP and get in for free. I think it's free until 4:30. And you can RSVP on Eventbrite. Go hit up Neo Soul Sunday, Blue Martini, or you can go to HC3 Enterprises. Go look him up on Facebook, or you can find him on Instagram and look him up and hit him up. Tell Herschel that JP sent you. Tell him that you heard about him on the Get Back Show. And then that will be our last event for the evening. You can, like I said, you can always find me on a Saturday evening at Evolve Saturdays, chilling somewhere in the corner, just enjoying the music, man. One of my favorite DJs is going to be on the ones and twos tonight. Shout out DJ Bolati. He's going to be on the show in August. Yeah, I just booked you, bro. I didn't even ask you if you're available in August. So hopefully you're available. But shout out to one of my favorite DJs, man. Bolati's been doing it for a long time. And then we're going to close out our advertisement section with a little A selection from my engineer. We're going to trust his yeah, he's giving me that face. We're producing on the fly. That's what we do around this camp. And we'll see you in a minute. Hey, what's going on, everybody? And we're back. This is the Get Back Show. My name is JP Green, and I have my buddy, the other superhero,
Isaiah Engel.
We're not the Justice League. What are we? I don't know. I know the Business League.
Yeah, we're the business. We're the business squad.
The business squad.
Yeah, you call us out there when you have a business problem, and we bring our toolbox and our wrenches and hammers and duct tape, and we patch it all back together.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go. So If you're just now joining us, we have Josh Middick. Mittag. I always feel like I'm about to pronounce your last name wrong, bro. And I've been knowing you for like 2-3 years. That's not a good testimony. And then we have Jennifer Volsi holding on the line. Jennifer's still with us. Isaiah has a series of great questions that I've been waiting for him to tee up and ask. So I'm like here. I'm a fan right now.
Okay.
I'm fanning out. So I'm gonna let him roll.
Yeah, Jennifer, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, cool. Well, have you ever been to Deep Ellum, right outside of Dallas, where Josh's art is?
No, I haven't been there.
I was walking down the street right off of Commerce Street, and I looked up the other day, right near where the Dirk mural is, and I saw this quote on the wall that says, "Being good in business is the most fascinating kind of art. Making money is art, working is art, and good business is the best art." And that's by Andy Warhol, who I guess knew a thing or two about art. What is art anyway? If it's all those things to Warhol, what is art?
I think it's really whatever speaks to you and what moves you. So, I mean, everyone's going to be attracted to something different, but I think that's kind of the gist of it. It's whatever is going to move you. And I think that's kind of where the whole contemporary art scene came out of. It's just not everyone was either into really fine art or could afford fine art, and so people found different things, and they're just like, this is beautiful to me. This is what makes me feel something. So who are you to tell me that this isn't art too? And so I think it's very personal. And
Got it. It's what moves you.
You've got to ask different people. You'll get different answers.
Josh, are prints art?
Yes, it is. It's hard to recreate 1,000 pictures for 1,000 people, but it's still your art. If I create it and make a print of it, it's still my art. And if somebody wants a copy of it and they can't have the original, but they still want it, and they have a piece of artwork that, like she said, makes them feel a certain way, and it's still artwork.
So it's still art because it's making you feel a certain way. What about the value in this art? I'm always curious about how much original art is worth, because I do a little bit of collecting myself, and I always wonder how much of the art is based on the value of it is based on the art versus the artist's reputation.
Oh wow, I'm probably not the best person to answer that type of question, because where does the value come from? So it's almost like a matter of opinion. You know, some people understand a certain piece and some people just don't get it. So it really, it's not a thing like gold that goes by the ounce or the gram. You know, art, I guess, the value that's put on it, that's where it comes from.
There's some crazy art values going on out there.
Yes, some people have limited prints, and some people just make tons of them and sell them for really cheap. And some, like, people put their own value on their artwork.
Jennifer, there's some crazy art over in where you are by Calabasas and Beverly Hills and all that. What's your craziest art valuation story that you've ever come across?
Art valuation story?
Yeah, like what have you seen, hanging in galleries that you're like, is it really that much? And it actually sold.
I don't, because it's kind of like what he said. People put their own value on art, and so my favorite place to look for art is at either the Melrose Trading Post or Fairfax District. And I wouldn't really say a crazy valuation story, but I've seen a guy who just makes art out of light bulbs. Like, he'll take a whole bunch of household items, but he'll just light them up. And so a lot of them won't be bigger than a book. And some of them, like random things like dice and little pinball machines and things like that. And some of them go for like $1,000.
Wow.
And I won't say it's a crazy valuation because it is really unique. Like, I can say that I've never seen anything like what he creates. But then it's like when you take all the pieces of material, I guess, you're just like, oh, this probably was like, the materials were probably worth about $10, but the way he put them together made them worth so much more.
Wow.
Wow, the way he put them together.
So, I mean, are you, I guess, are you, I'm into, I can get the whole valuation thing, like as far as it's what it means, you know, to you. What, I guess you said, Josh, you put your own price tag on your art. Like, are you giving people a win? I can't even form this question. I can't formulate this question because it's so, for you to say that it's simple. And I've seen that before too. Somebody takes something that's absolutely simplistic in nature, something that we use every day, and they create something out of it, and it becomes, you know, it takes on this life where the value of it, does the value even, but does some of the value of it for what people are willing to pay, does some of that valuation, does that, you think that plays that the consumer themselves, the person that's purchasing the art, you think that where they are and how they perceive your art, do you think that plays into it too? For somebody to be able to say, for you to be able to say, I'm going to charge you $1,000 to light up these dice. And not to, and whoever the artist is, if you ever see this, bro, I'm not making light of your artwork. I don't ever want to do that. But just the business side of it is like, seriously, like.
Why didn't I think of that?
But and I guess in the same sense, I'm almost being, I don't know, because if Jennifer had something or Josh had something for $500-$600, and I'm able to just go purchase it, I probably would, because I appreciate. I'm a fan, but I'm a fan because what you do resonates with me. There's a story behind what you did, but there's also a story behind why I'm feeling what you did. So, you know, it's somewhere in there. I guess I don't even know if there was a question in there. It's just when she made that statement, it's just like, you know, it's kind of befuddling, like, good.
Yeah,
I mean, I do think location matters, because the areas that I brought up, they're more, I don't know if hipster is the right word, but it's like Fairfax, Hollywood area, and it's a lot of them there. That whole scene is about being different and liking things that are different. Like, everyone wants something original. So even though it's a really simple thing that he was doing, I think the value for the people purchasing came from the fact that, wow, I've never seen this before. I'm going to have something that people won't have. And the area that he was in was kind of obscure, so it's not something that a lot of people are going to come across. I don't think he was really popular, so it's just kind of, I think the value came from the idea that people thought that no one else is going to have this, and it looks cool.
Now that's really fascinating to, like, where. It was all about where and who. Are there any other major questions, Josh, that you have to answer as an artist to get your price up?
No, from my experience has been more like what Jonathan was saying. People that do know my story tend to value my art more than people who don't know the story or don't have an emotional connection or attachment to it. So you can create something that's pretty simple, that somebody just really appreciates because there's an attachment to it. So for certain artists out there, it's almost like creating a brand. As an example, I'm not a big Jordan fan. I do like Jordan. I might own a pair, but my son loves Jordan, and he has a lot of Jordans. And whether a shoe looks attractive or not, he's going to like it just because they're Jordans. Me, I don't care what the brand is. I care about how they feel on my feet and maybe the color of the shoe, because I might want to coordinate. So I'm going to buy a shoe just because of the color or the comfort, not really because of the brand.
That's me.
So when I first picked up the spray paint can, I watched a video called Exit Through the Gift Shop, and it was about a spray paint artist by the name of Banksy. I wasn't into spray painting because I've never done it before, but once I picked it up, I kind of fell in love with it and just took off with it. And so I started learning about other artists and how they do what they do, and I'm just trying to learn different techniques as I go, and I'm still learning, right? But some of the things that Banksy does could be something that everybody at this table can do. and I can show my son how to do this stuff as well. And it's simple, yet it's probably, if he does it, it's going to be worth 10 grand. And if you do it, somebody might only want to give you $10 for it because it's that simple. But he has created a brand for himself as an artist also. So with his signature on it, like a pair of Jordans with his name on it are going to be probably worth more just because of how people see that. You know, there's millions of people in this world. And so there's millions, everybody has a different opinion. They like certain things, and there's some kind of crazy stuff out there that people are just attracted to. So one person might think, man, that's kind of crazy. I wouldn't pay $10 for it, and somebody else might pay 10 grand for it, you know, because they just don't get it. So it's a matter of opinion. You know, everybody has a certain way of looking at things, and that's where their value, I believe, kind of, you know.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of something I was thinking of this morning with asymmetrical value. I don't know if that's a real word. In finance, there's asymmetrical information, which is I know more than, you know, the buyer knows more than the seller, or the seller knows more than the buyer. But asymmetrical value is what causes money to change hands, and that's exactly what you're hitting on. And then you said something about like your story and people identifying with that story being the key to selling art. How do you tell your story as an artist, Jennifer?
I think I mostly do it just through my art. I mean, I'm not big on, like, most of the time when I show art, I haven't done too many shows or anything like that. So everything is just me posting the art itself. And I think people were able to kind of sense my story without me saying it, because I realized I did an interview for someone maybe a year ago, and she mentioned to me that a lot of my art was focused on brown women or women of color. And at the time, I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. So it was kind of a subconscious thing for me. But when I thought about it, I mean, I went to an HBCU for undergrad, and when I really started painting and showing people my work, it was when I was at Pepperdine for law school. And if you don't know about Pepperdine, it's very conservative, not diverse. I was the only woman of color in my entire class. So it was just a very different experience for me. And so I think I use that as a way to just, I don't know, reflect maybe what I was missing in my life at that time. And so even though I didn't even realize that's what my story was, I think other people who saw it were able to pick up on it. And so it's kind of interesting that way. It's like sometimes I just painted what I was feeling, but other people were able to kind of draw more from it than I even did at the time.
So, Jennifer, really quick for our listeners out there who wouldn't be familiar with what HBCU means, can you tell them what that means?
Oh, it's a historically black college or university. So in the past, it was an all-black college during the years where segregation existed. And then, I mean, now anyone can go to them, but they still tend to have a more black population.
Gotcha. That's just in case you guys didn't know what HBCU meant. Us in Texas, though, we know.
You know.
Yeah, the first week of the last week of September or the first week of October here in Dallas. If you don't know what's going on that week, then you're not from here. The Grambling PV game every year, so you're gonna see two HBCUs line up and play football, but nobody really goes to the game. They always want to go to tailgate. And either the tailgates or they want to see the Battle of the Bands, because if you haven't seen, the Battle of the Bands between two HBCUs, and you haven't lived life yet. That's just something different, man.
I got to mark my calendar for that.
Yeah, well, the Grambling PV game is always the first weekend that the fair starts.
Huh. So
when the fair starts, that very next, either the first weekend or the second weekend, the Grambling PV game, because then that signifies we're into football season, because the next week after Grambling PV is always the Red River Shootout. It'll be OU and Texas playing, so it's always signified that. But that always signifies that we're in the state fair. So Jen, you need to come down and make it to the state fair, man. Hey, it's an experience to go by and see Big Tex, get on the Midway, all of that good stuff.
When is that?
It is the fair starts like that that last week in September. The fair starts, and then the Grambling PV game is either that weekend or the very next weekend after that. So,
Is the fair in Dallas?
yeah, State Fair of Texas.
I think I may have actually been to that state fair because when my first year at Southern, we had a hurricane, and so we all fled to Dallas to escape Baton Rouge, and I did go to a state fair. It might have been that one.
Okay, then, yeah.
Probably
You saw
was.
Big Tex? You won't
I
forget
think
Big
so.
Tex. How tall is Big Tex? Like 50 feet tall?
Yeah, he's
That
huge.
might be too big.
Yeah,
but
he's huge.
yeah.
I'll be watching him across the street from the yoga studio I go to.
Oh, the Refuge?
Yeah, the Refuge.
Shout out to Rachel.
Shout out to Rachel. Yeah, it's a great place. It's right next to there. And you know, when we talk about the fair, it sort of reminds me of this ecosystem. You have all these people coming together, all these bands and all this stuff, and people are kind of in the mood for spending money. What is the ecosystem that you have as an artist? What other products are people buying when they go and think about buying your work?
So I have a personal friend that made tons of money during the fair because it's so many people that come through there. And back to Prince, he made more money on Prince than he's ever made on originals at the fair park. You can resell a piece of art 1,000 times, to thousands of people. And it was a good decision for him to even put up a stand there. It's a good time to sell prints. People are there to have fun and spend money anyways. So you have tons of people that come through there and want to spend tons of money. And it's just a good time and a good location to plug in to so many different people. And as they see something cool, it's a memory to some people that are visiting. We have a lot of visitors that come through also. Most of these people who come to the fair are not even from here. Mm-hmm. They come from all over. So souvenir or something, and it's just a good time to go post up there as an artist to do what we don't do on a regular basis.
That's really interesting.
Hey, Jennifer, do you think the selling of art is acceptable like almost anywhere? Like you can, I think Josh, he said it's a great time and location, but now I'm thinking about it, like you see art on walls with price tags, like in restaurants or if you go to, some of the speakeasies or, just anywhere, you can literally walk into a building and an artist will have something on display. They've worked something out or whatever, and the art is for sale. Do you think artists, selling art is acceptable almost anywhere?
I think it has to, fit the vibe of the space that it's in. But I think a lot of businesses now are more open to allowing local artists, especially to showcase their work there, as long as it makes sense for that space. So for a while in LA, I had a couple of pieces up at this coffee shop in LA. And I think the pieces I had were a Lisa Bonet and a Sade painting. But when you walked in, it didn't look out of place, like it fit that vibe. And then for that space, I think it made sense because the people going there, obviously they're going there for a certain environment or for a certain feel. And so if the art fits that feel, you're also more inclined to find people who will relate to what you're selling there, as opposed to if I just had a random, some other painting in there. So I think as long as it makes sense for that space, then sure.
Gotcha.
Where does it not make sense? You seen anything atrocious?
Not in Dallas.
I don't know about atrocious, but I think
atrocious.
I think you can put it in any space. I just think, I have some art that I've done of athletes, and I like those pieces, but if it were to have been in that coffee shop, I don't think it would have made sense there. So that's what I mean by making sense for that space.
Got it.
Who's your favorite artist? Either one of you.
Alive, I really like this girl, Sue Sai, and I don't really know what type of art I would describe her stuff as. It's kind of not really realistic. Like sometimes she'll just put like a little girl in outer space or something like I don't really know what her style is, but I do love her stuff. So Susai is definitely my favorite artist.
And artist that's gone now, somebody from the past.
I like Frida Kahlo a lot, and I like that she made herself the subject of all of her paintings. I thought it was really personal, so
Okay.
I love her stuff too.
Would you DM me those two names, and I'll put them up when we
Sure.
put up your stuff. Josh, who's your favorite artist, present and past?
I do like Frida. I like her, the character, more than just her art alone. And that's the reason why it's hard for me to pick a person, because with watercolors, I've seen some pretty amazing stuff that inspires me to want to do the same. Mm-hmm. So anytime I see an artist do something that inspires me, like that's what drives me and motivates me. So I would say my favorite artists are those who just inspire me the most. And there's so many different styles out there. It's almost hard to explain what a style is in some of the artwork that I see. And it's like trying to pick my favorite food or a favorite movie or a favorite song. You know, there's just so many different things out there that I appreciate, you know, equally. I couldn't say that I have a favorite artist.
Got you. I like that. I mean, it's like asking somebody what their favorite song is, and it's like my favorite song could be whatever I'm going through that day. That's right. What I'm jamming.
Absolutely. My favorite song today.
Yeah.
So that's whatever I'm jamming.
Yeah, whatever inspires you. Where do you guys go to get inspiration?
All over.
Yeah, I can't say I go any specific place.
What about business inspiration? Who's been an inspiring, like, business of art kind of person?
I think for me it's Susai as well, and that's one of the things I really liked about her because she's young. She must still be in her 20s, and she started off doing canvas paintings, and she still does shows and stuff, but she was able to collaborate with big brands, like this is the fitness store 602, and just create lines and get her art on clothing. And so I think she was able to really make her art a business in a lot of ways that I wouldn't have thought of. And so she's definitely inspiring in that way. Like she's made a business out of her art for sure.
What about you, Josh?
I have a couple mentors in my life, and some of my business partners are my business partners because of that. They just inspire me. Like I build things, and I like to build stuff just as much as I like to paint, because it's really the creativity in it. That's what I like about art as much as I like about art. It's just being able to create something from a blank piece of paper to a blank canvas to a blank wall, or even, you know, giving somebody their first tattoo or something. And I enjoy it all the same. And people who create something out of nothing, that's inspiring to me, you know. So whatever the business is, it always motivates me to recreate myself in some kind of way. It keeps me hungry. It helps me push the envelope. And I have a few of those people in my life that help me. Even I'm walking into a couple businesses right now outside of art altogether. And that's the reason why. Just rubbing elbows with the right people that keep me motivated and focused. And I draw from, if I'm next to a well, I'm going to draw from it.
Gotcha.
You know? I can learn something from anybody, and I'm always I'm open to it. I'm guidable and teachable, and that alone just helps me pull from so many different sources.
Do you feel? I almost feel as an artist, we're wired that way. So I mean, I consider myself because I've been writing since the third grade, whether it be songs or poetry or short stories, stuff like that. You know, I feel like I'm my most creative when I'm around. I'm exposed. Right? Like I'm a people watcher. I will literally, when I want to work on something new, I will go find a mall to go sit at. stuff like that, and just people watch. Do you think that we're wired automatic because of that part of who we are, that we're wired to soak up stuff? Like you said, if you're standing next to a well, you're going to draw from it, right?
That's right.
Just let you know, I'm going to steal that line later on. Somewhere down the line in the next few weeks, I'm going to use that again if you don't mind.
But if everyone starts quoting you, is that?
And I'm going to say who I stole it from. Though.
Okay.
I won't cheat you. I won't cheat you. Do you feel like we're automatically wired for that, though, to be sponges a little bit? Because one of the things I always tell artists when I'm hosting Rhythm and Rhymes, I tell the poets and even the other artists that come in, whether you're a musician, a vocalist, you rap, whatever it is, I tell them, I charge them. The charge is that it's our job to paint the picture of life in word form and to be as authentic as possible, right? But we draw from everything around us. Do you feel like when it comes to business, and not just from the art perspective, but as Josh said, he's rubbed elbows, you rub elbows, and you connect with a lot of people. You're great. That's one of the things I've noticed is you're great at connecting, but also continuing to nurture those relationships. Are we wired for that automatically, though? There's a lot of people who could be standing next to Bill Gates and would get nothing from Bill Gates. Just because I don't think that they're wired that way. Bill Gates it's almost like talking to your kids, right? You know how you can tell them the same thing a million times? Josh and I we're both fathers. So you can tell your kids a million things. And we all did it ourselves too as children. Our parents told us something, and then it took somebody else to come in and tell us the same thing that they told us, and then a light bulb went off, right? Yeah. But I feel like as artists, we don't really go through that though. Like we're always gleaning. And do you concur with that, or is it? I guess it's just like, are we wired that way? Either way, whoever wants to tee this up and knock it out the park. Either way,
ladies first.
Okay. I do think, in a sense, I think that's part of being an artist is that you are just going to be paying attention to all kinds of things and taking everything in. And I can't speak for everyone else, so I don't know if that's just me or if it's applicable to other people, but I think regardless of where I am, I'm taking inspiration from different things. I'm seeing what's going on. And I'm a naturally quiet person by nature, and so I think I've always just been more perceptive, just even when I was younger. So that to me is just a natural part of my life.
Got you. What about you, Jay?
I think it's influence, almost like just the power of influence. You can be around someone and draw from them, or most of the time you're either influencing somebody or being influenced by them, whether it's people, music, just an environment or whatnot. Like you are a people watcher. That's how I watch people's art. I'll get like on Pinterest and I'll go through things and I can just go from one to the next and spend an hour or two on there just looking for stuff. And I like everything. I don't necessarily use everything, but I'm always looking for things that I can use. So it's some people are good sketch artists. And some people can create things just out of their mind. But I think there's a source for any idea or color that you get. There's a reason or there's a place that you're drawn from. And for me, I just think I don't know, I guess you can say that I'm wired up that way. It comes natural to me to see certain things and just be attracted to almost everything, really. I look at everything, I think, from an artistic perspective.
Gotcha.
And without even thinking about it, I'll see an image and it just kind of gets stored in my mind a certain way. But that's because my focus as an artist. So if somebody was sitting next to Bill Gates and they don't get nothing from him, that's just because they're not focused on what it is. Like our kids, they're not going to be focused on our intentions for telling them what we're telling them. They just automatically
the The wall goes up because his dad telling me.
Their focus is something else. So as an artist, my focus is being creative. So I'm always looking at things in a creative way. So I can use this, I can use that idea or color or whatever it is, because that's just my focus. So I guess whatever your focus is on, you'll kind of magnetize towards those things.
Got you. So the whole purpose and premise of the show is just being entrepreneur centric. So let me ask you guys this, and Jennifer, we can start with you. What has the journey been like from the first time you sold your first piece of art to now? What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way thus far, and just, you know, what has that journey been like to you specifically? You want to continue on doing it? It's something that you want to expand and grow, or is just you're comfortable in your space where you are right now? Which side pulls on you more, the artist side or being a lawyer? Which side pulls you more, and how is that journey for you right now?
I don't know that I have a side that pulls me more. I don't know, it's weird. I almost feel like my lawyer self and my artist self are two different people. So I think like I love academics and I love everything about the law, and I'm really passionate about certain issues. And so I love being a lawyer, and I love that I'm able to do both. So I think for as long as I'm able to do both, I want to do that. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to grow my art as well. Like, I definitely have goals that I want to accomplish. And as far as lessons about art, I think I learned a lot of lessons about valuation along the way. Because when I first started out, I think it's one of the hard things about starting out is like you don't know what to price things at, especially because I didn't start off necessarily trying to make it a business. And so when someone would say, well, can you paint this for me? What is your pricing? I didn't really know what other people were charging for commissions. I didn't know what I should charge. And I didn't know if there was, I mean, now I kind of figured there are no rules to it, but I didn't at the time know what I should even respond to that. And so I was always trying to make my prices based off of what I felt like my experience was or something like that. And then as I got more into doing art and as I did more, I really just started to price it based off of what it was worth to me. And so I would just think about, like, this is the amount of time that I'm going to spend doing this. Am I going to be in a good mood as I do this for this price? Am I not? Like, is it worth it to me? And that's basically how I started making those business decisions. And a lot of it is really about what I felt. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest thing, is just learning how to value myself, value my art and my time, and keeping a balance between my art and being a lawyer.
Now, some key data there. Susan David, the author of Emotional Agility, says that feelings are data. So to check in with yourself about how do you feel about parting with this piece of art is data you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me slide this question in there really quick. Do you think there's artistry involved in being a lawyer?
I mean, yeah, you definitely have to be creative. There's a lot of crafting that goes into being a lawyer. So, I mean, I do think that the two cross over a little bit. It's like the execution is different, but yeah, I mean, I think no matter what you're doing, you're going to bring every part of you.
Not all of them do, but I think for the most part, I would say so.
Interesting. I was thinking, like, maybe I can get like a print of one of my favorite pieces done as a tattoo. That's I don't know. What do you think? Is that cool?
That's step one.
Yeah, that's step one. I don't. So, Jen, you back?
Yeah, I am. I don't know what's the last thing you guys heard, but.
I think you were just wrapping up the answer to about bringing every piece of who you are into what you do.
Okay, right. Yeah, that was the last thing I said.
Okay. Okay. So Isaiah just asked, he just asked Josh about tattoos because Josh is a tattoo artist as well. And then we're talking about what Isaiah's going to get tattooed.
Yeah, Jennifer, I think I'm going to get a reprint of one of your pieces. That, yeah.
This
sounds good to me. You'll have to go to him to do it because I can't help with that.
Hey, what about let me ask you this. Let's get into this last few minutes. Let's talk about some of your work. The Amalfi Coast piece.
Yes.
Where did our in-studio mascots waking up over there? Bach is waking up.
Actually, I think he's dreaming.
He's dreaming?
He's dreaming about a squirrel off the Amalfi Coast. He's listening to our talk, and it's taking him into places.
What inspired that Amalfi Coast piece?
Honestly, I had just been talking with some of my friends from undergrad, and we were trying to plan a trip for next year, and we were figuring out where to go. And I'm a big soccer fan. I'm a big Ronaldo fan. So he just moved to Italy. And so I was like, well, we definitely have to go to Italy because I want to see a game. And we were going through a bunch of photos, and I'm like, wow, the Amalfi Coast is so beautiful. And I don't know, I think it was just all those conversations we were having, I just wanted to create it.
Got you. And then we were messaging each other back and forth. My favorite is that's from a movie, right? That's Harry Belafonte. And is that Lena Horne or Dorothy Dandridge?
Dorothy Dandridge. So I just loved that picture. So for that one, I don't know, just like when I saw it, it moved me. So I was like, I just need to paint this. And initially I painted it for myself, and it was one of the things that I ended up selling eventually.
Yeah. What movie was that?
Carmen Jones.
Carmen Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't I should have grabbed some of your pieces from your jackets as well, because you've done, how many jackets have you done so far?
I would say maybe like 6 or 7 jackets now. So I haven't done a whole lot. I only started doing them like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. But yeah, I've done maybe 6 or 7.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really, really cool piece. I'm thinking before I get that tatted on my back, maybe we just do body paint. Josh, can you hook that up for me?
Josh, what about you? So the piece, I don't know which one this is. It's the one where you are you're downtown, or you're in Deep Ellum. It's the I don't know. It's the I don't know which one. Is that a clock?
Guitar, looks like.
Is that a guitar?
This one right here.
It's actually a Aztec sunstone or an Aztec calendar.
Yeah, that one. How big is that piece?
The wall is probably 20 feet high. So I did this for a lawyer also, Guerrero Law Offices on the corner of Commerce and Sylvan. She wanted an Aztec guy on one end and something representing the ancient cities. And then she wanted a flamenco dancer on the other side and something representing the more modern cities. And she kind of wanted like the skyline of Dallas up in the corner. And I was like, well, I can't do it in the corner. I can do it, but it's going to take this whole section of the wall. I don't want to do that. It's real small in the corner. So actually, she wanted I'm not really used to spray painting faces that small. Like I'm used to spray painting faces like 20 feet high. And
you might not have that one.
She wanted the body 20 feet high, which meant the face was going to be pretty small. So when I did it to scale, it left a big gap in the middle. So I needed to fill in the gap in the middle. And so I just did an Aztec sunstone. It kind of ties in the time that she was wanting on there. It was kind of a picture of from this time to that time. And that's actually what the Aztec sunstone represents. So I just used that to fill in the middle of that wall. It's about maybe 65 feet long.
How long did that take?
I don't remember.
How long ago was that you did that?
This one, maybe a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. I've come to realize, man, you're almost like a recording artist, man. Josh will do like 2 or 3 big pieces. He'll do little small stuff, and then the big stuff is like but it's a couple years in between almost, unless it's just because that's when we're seeing it. But
well, that's the reason. Like when I was tattooing, I've always wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to tattoo in somebody's shop, because then it would be my job to be there every day, and I never would have picked up the spray paint can had I done that. Like I like to oil paint and acrylic paint and all that also, and I can't do that when I like have to sit in a chair and just do this all day every day. Mm-hmm. You know, I like to do all of that. I paint on everything. You know, I airbrush as well, so I can paint on hats, shoes, you know, motorcycles, cars, or whatever. So I just have so much going on, and sometimes I'm doing things that I don't necessarily put out there. Like even after this, so I got a call from some lady one day and said, "Hey, I got your number from Mark Cuban, and I want to know if you can come and do some artwork on our place." And it's at the backyard. It's also Deep Ellum.
Yeah.
But you know, Bottle Blonde, and then the backyard. Mm-hmm. So that wall is probably like 90 feet long, and it's, I don't know, 40, 50 feet high. And that was my first time painting on corrugated metal, and I did portraits of dogs. Gotcha. So each panel was probably the size of the wall, and I painted several dogs in there. You know, it's not something I post everywhere, it's just a job. I did it, you know. Originally, when I first started doing this, I just had an opportunity, so I just wanted to do it. I wasn't trying to make a name for myself. Mm-hmm. And I did a few murals and didn't even sign the wall. I just wanted to put the work up, and that was my satisfaction. You know, not getting likes or not getting, like, I wasn't really doing it for that until, you know, people were like, "Hey, you need to put your name here, you need to put your information there," and so on and so forth. I was just having fun with it, you know.
Yeah. When you start signing it, that's when it becomes a business almost. I mean, because people are going to start seeking you out. Really quick, though, where's the piece of the city skyline?
It's on that same wall.
On the same wall?
Well, which one? Oh, okay, yes. It's on the same wall. So that's it's behind the flamenco dancer. Okay. I've done another skyline as well, but that's with the Dirk Nowitzki on the new Mavericks practice facility.
Got you.
But yes, that's on that same wall that we just.
The practice facility is the old Dart building?
It's the community. It was the brewery.
On the opposite side of 35, right?
American Airlines.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what that used to be back in the day, though, right?
No.
Levitt's? Remember Levitt's Furniture Store?
Yeah.
That used to be Levitt's Furniture Store, in case you guys didn't know that.
That's where the next mural is going to go.
Over on the practice facility?
The same wall, but on the other end.
Got you.
To be a tribute to the 80s.
Got you. The 80s, like 80s Mavericks?
Yes. Or just the original owner, Don Carter.
Yeah.
Who sold the team to Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
We're going to put him up there first, and then a couple of the players from the 80s.
Like Derek.
I'll have to send you the picture. It's probably going to be my best one yet. Like, it's going to be my favorite one. You know, the copy that I have to do. Yeah. It's pretty nice. Can't wait to do it.
Yeah, man. I've been a Mavs fan. People talking about Mavs fans for life. We've been watching Mavs since, back in the day. Mr. Layup. That's what they called Derek. I can't remember his last name. I don't even know. Rolando Blackman, Roy Tarpley, who couldn't stop smoking weed long enough to help us win a championship. But I ain't mad at you, Roy. What's his name?
Relax somehow, right?
Yeah, and then what's the cat who played guard? That was like our version of Larry Bird. Brad.
He's going up there too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. My man was cold. We had some pretty decent teams back in the 80s, man. Mark Aguirre, who left the Mavs and went to the Detroit Pistons and won a freaking championship. But we ain't going to talk about that. We had some really good teams. Man, we are coming into the last 3 minutes of the show. Before we get out of here, we definitely need to give you guys an opportunity. Jennifer, we'll start with you. Where can our listeners and viewers, where can they find you at and any of your art?
I mean, you can find me primarily on Instagram. It's Jennifer Volsey.
Okay. And that's what
in there.
Okay, and they can just reach out to you if they want to get anything. Do you have prints? Hey, you know what? Quick question before you answer that. How many pieces do you work on at one time? Because I've seen you take shots where you got like 4 or 5 pieces that you're literally. I mean, I may have just answered my own question, but what's your max?
I don't know if I have a max. I mean, I think the most that I've worked on at one time is probably 6. But yeah, I don't have a max. It just depends on how busy I am at a certain point. Or sometimes I start something and then I want to do that too at the same time.
Got you. So you can find her on Instagram at Jennifer Volsey. Go check her workout, man. And if you want to, and people can commission you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And just hit her up if you want to commission her for any pieces. And Josh, what about you? Where can we find you, brother?
Same place on Instagram, Mittag Art and Design. My last name, Mittag, Mittag Art and Design.
Okay. And also, the other superhero on the show over here, Isaiah, where can we find you at, buddy?
I prefer Twitter. So just type into Twitter, Isaiah Engel. Or you can find me at my handle at Isaiah_E.
And as always, you can find me on Instagram or Twitter as Mr. Mo Better. My name is JP Green. This has been the Get Back Show. We talked about the business of art, the artsy fartsy thing. That'll be like the subtitle. It's not just a teaser. Shout out to Jedi Jansen. DallasOnAir.com if you ever want to go watch the show back. If you don't, go to our YouTube page, which you should be going to the YouTube page. We need 100 subscribers like this month. We need 100 subscribers in the next 7 days so we can change the URL on YouTube to the Get Back Show, and it makes it easier for you to go find our shows, and also go like the Get Back Show on Facebook, follow the Get Back Show on Instagram, and follow it on Twitter. Follow Jedi. Are you on Instagram? Jedi's not on Instagram, but he is on Facebook. You can find Dallas on Air on Facebook. And if you are interested in getting a podcast started and or a show, hit up DallasOnAir.com. Hit him up if you're in the area. Hit him up and let him know that you're interested, and he will get you started. He's been in the business for over a decade, very knowledgeable, and he'll get you right, man, like he does us every week. We appreciate you guys coming through. Thank you, Josh, for taking time. Josh came from a wedding. Came over, and I've been trying to chase Jen down for, I don't know, a good 2 months now, but I finally got her locked down and got her on the show, and I'm glad I did. Thank you guys for sharing your wisdom and your journey with us and being transparent. The nature of this show is to be a conduit of information, which it was a godsend having this young man, meeting him. Our story is very serendipitous, how we met downstairs on the first floor. I Am the Juice Place. Shout out to Anna.
Fantasy Juice.
Yeah. You can follow them on Instagram as well. And man, just, hey, a reminder to everybody, if you want to get into business, and even if it's something in life that you want to do, just remember this: the beginning starts with deciding to. And then you don't have to be perfect to start. Don't let not where you're feeling like perfection is the reason. You can only start when things are perfect. Some of the best things that we have started out of imperfection, and we are, by nature, we are imperfect people. That's how we're made. So don't let that keep you from starting something and being the greatest you that you can be, because when you become the greatest you don't only just help yourself. You were designed, your gifts and your talents and your abilities were not given to you for yourself. They were given to you to help your fellow man and to help the collective as a whole. So don't cheat us out of your gift. I tell my kids that all the time. Continue working on perfecting your gift. Continue seeking out your purpose and knowing who you are, so that we can get all of that from you and you're able to give all of that to us, man. As always, we're sending all our love out to you and our prayers up for you. This has been the Get Back Show. We'll see you next week. 1.